This is the Relevant Podcast.
It's episode 954, and it's the Relevant Podcast here in Orlando. I'm your host, Cameron Strang, and joining me from Loverland, Virginia, it's Jesse Carey.
Hello, hello.
From Nacogdoches, Texas. She's back in East Texas going from Paris to Nacogdoches, only an upgrade. Downtown Emily Brown.
Hey, y'all.
Hey, and joining me from my living room, artist, producer, mogul, Derek Miner.
What's happening? He got me over here holding this church mic, but we gonna get it popping though anyway. I feel like just change my name to Bishop Miner for the rest of this joint right quick.
Derek, I recorded last week's episode in person at Cameron's house, and it was the same thing because of our kind of hardware setup. I did a handheld. I got to say, my arm was kind of sore. It made me really respect like stand-up comedians, pastors, singers.
How out of shape do you have to be that your arm is sore from holding a mic for 40 minutes? You don't even have to hold it out the entire time. If you're not talking, you could kind of set it down.
It's habit. For people behind the scenes, just now as we were signing on, I was having a hardware issue, as Clark knows. I was giving Clark some heartburn leading up to this recording. And so the microphone that I usually use is not working today, so I'm just using another solution. But I was leaning up to a microphone as if it was on, speaking into it. I'm very uncomfortable not speaking into a microphone, having it away from my face. So I just had a lot of microphone issues, Derek. I can relate. All that to say.
God bless Clark, because we be sending Clark audio sometime. I'll be like, well, we'll see what he does with this one. Clark really like the Dr. Dre of podcasts. Like,
I like it.
That man is out here making it happen.
We've got 2 studio mics, AirPods, and a church mic. So let's see if the end result sounds like a cohesive podcast. Let's start.
So we don't post the videos as much, but the only thing this mic is missing is the big fuzzy red or blue or yellow like mic.
So the sound booth knows which worship leader to turn down, which worship team.
All it's missing.
A little off. Yeah.
I was gonna say, I want to tell you something. If you want to find the most disgusting smell in your entire life, just take the foam filter off the church mic when y'all go to church Sunday and just sniff the mic. That mug is going to smell like death. Just letting y'all know. Is there a solution to clean mics, church mics?
I heard COVID didn't start in China with one Wuhan wet market. It was actually a small Baptist church in Arkansas. They took the foam off. And then COVID got released.
Just a petri dish. Now, I think the solution is what I've always wanted for my podcasting career, which is it's made famous by like Bob Barker, right, on Price is Right. But it's a touch of class and style, which is it's a very long, like just a stick mic with like a golf ball on top.
It looks like a magic wand or something with a little fuzz ball on the end.
With a golf ball, with a ping pong ball on top. And it's very long. It's unnecessarily long. It's like over 1.5 feet long. And I can just hold it out here and just talk into my little golf ball. And it's very little surface area to collect bacteria flying out of my mouth. So I think it's a great solution.
This is what I want y'all to do. I want y'all to go to the sound man at church Sunday, and I want you to ask him, when's the last time you cleaned the mics? Some of y'all mics ain't been clean for 30 years. Like, just letting y'all know, some of the mics have had the bishop spitting on, and some, like, if you go to a black church is sweat going everywhere, spit going everywhere. They singing at the top of their lungs. And some of them mics have not been clean for 30 years. So I'm telling you, I'm on a church mic right now, camera. This look like a fairly new mic, so I don't feel like, what I'm saying, like I'm at threat of getting the new COVID variant. But I'm telling y'all, that's the reason why y'all couldn't go to church on Sunday, because the CDC knew y'all wasn't cleaning y'all mics.
Now, Derek, I do want to qualify one thing you said. You said, hey, go to your sound person at your church on Sunday and ask them something. Be careful. Everyone knows the most ornery person in ministry, any ministry. Okay, you got people who are on the mission field that have been suffering Okay. You got people doing intense counseling that have seen the worst of the worst in their congregation. You got pastors who are up there, every week, bringing it and all the feedback from their congregation. The most ornery person in that church, no matter what the church is the sound person.
No, it's one of two things. It's either that he's been there forever and he's just tired of everybody's crap, like he's over it and he's kind of, like you said, ornery, or it's the 15-year-old kid from youth group who's interested in audio production and they didn't have anybody else. Because you remember that viral clip where like the old school pastor like started calling people out in the congregation during service, and then he just turned his sights up on the rebellion up in the sound booth, and the kids up there just lounging around and not serving Jesus. Remember he like called out? Oh man, I love that clip.
Look, I'm gonna tell y'all, as a person that's been from church to church touring, like in my early years, before I was able to take a sound man with me, or before I was able to say like, hey, I want a certain thing, I remember going to a show and we had this whole rider. We need subwoofers for a rap concert, whatever. They didn't have nothing. And I asked the sound man, I'm like, yo, man, like what happened to the rider? He's like, oh, don't worry about it. I was like, but y'all don't have no subwoofers. He's like, no, we got a bass amp that the person plays bass through. We're just going to plug up your mic and put it in front of the amp. And it's going to do that. I was like, bruh.
Hey, look, it's either a jerry-rigged thing where it's like, I see like 6 electrical fire hazards running through this sanctuary right now.
Yes.
Or you go to the smallest church in the world and you go to that sound booth and you're like, I'm at the NASA Control Center in Houston. Like, there's 100 people in this service. You could probably just lead a cappella. But yeah, the sound person has one of those boards where you touch a button and all the levers go.
Yep.
Yeah, and they act like if you get close to the sound booth, like there's going to be a big problem. Like they've excommunicated people, got kicked out of the church for getting too close to the sound booth. Like that's the spectrum. It's either a fire hazard or you're acting like you're recording the score to a James Cameron movie.
Well, we have a great show in store for you today. Speaking of movies, filmmaker, director, writer Adam McKay joins us. You know him from Anchorman, Step Brothers, those guys, but also more thoughtful stuff like Vice or The Big Short, and most recently, Don't Look Up. He's also currently doing the HBO series Winning Time on the 80s Lakers. I cannot recommend that because there's a lot of seedy elements to that story. But Adam McKay is coming up. We talked to him. It's interesting. We have a feature with him in the new issue of Relevant, and his big message was he wanted to talk to us. We mentioned this when we kind of previewed the issue. He wanted to talk to us because he feels that the big issues facing humanity, Christians need to take the lead on. He had a message for Christians, and that is coming up later on the show. Don't miss it. Also, it's Oscar weekend, so we have our very own Oscars edition of Epic Battle. Don't miss that either. But stay tuned right now. Tyler joins us for Relevant Buzz.
You say that you want to change, but I hope you get everything you want. Everything you want. You say that you need relief, well I hope you get everything you need. Everything but me. 'Cause I don't want to stick around trying to work it out when everything feels wrong. Everything feels wrong. But it's all
You're listening to Muna. The song is Anything But Me.
Today's podcast is brought to you in part by Mercy Ships. Globally, 5 billion people lack access to surgical care. In sub-Saharan Africa, there's only one surgeon for every 200,000 people. Mercy Ships provides free, life-transforming surgeries for people who have little to no access to medical care. They help the blind see, straighten twisted limbs, remove deadly tumors, treat cleft conditions, and so much more. With state-of-the-art hospital ships, they provide safe surgery to children and adults living with treatable conditions, and it's completely free of charge. They do all this work with an all-volunteer crew of professionals who donate their time and talents. Surgeons, stewards, nurses, engineers, and more make the world a better place. Your donation today provides free, safe surgeries to people in desperate need of help. All gifts are matched, so please donate today at mercyships.org/relevant.
Today's podcast is brought to you in part by Tim Tebow's book, Look Again. Have you ever wondered what would change if you truly believed you were infinitely valuable to God? In his New York Times bestselling book, Look Again, Tim Tebow reveals the powerful truth that when we learn to see the image of God in every person, including those we struggle to love, everything changes. Tebow shares incredible stories from his work with people the world often overlooks, and it will challenge you to stand up to the lies, rediscover the worth that everyone has, and impact the world for good. Find Look Again by Tim Tebow, available now wherever books are sold.
All right, it's time for
Relevant Buzz.
Please welcome to the show, Relevant Senior Editor Tyler Huckabee, telling us what's happening at the intersection of faith and culture this week. Hey, Tyler.
Hey, everybody.
What's the buzz?
That sounded so like ASMR.
I'm just working. I'm workshopping it. Leave me alone. I'm trying to figure out my segue to intro.
Yeah, I like it. I like what's the buzz? Maybe that should be our new, we can make that, see if we can work that into a jingle there. A little intro jingle. I like it. So the first thing we're going to talk about is something, Cameron, you and I kind of already discussed this news a little bit, but I wanted to throw it to you all for a discussion about it a little bit too. Have you guys, in the middle of all this, I know it's really hard to stay away from any news about the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Have you guys ever sat down and listened to one of these speeches that Vladimir Putin gives with the translation? Obviously you don't speak Russian, so you listen to the translation under it. Have you ever tried to actually listen to what he is saying to the Russian people about the military operation?
I've only heard the Russian state TV talking about special operations, stuff like that. But not Putin himself. He was so reclusive for so long. Is his long table meetings.
Exactly. Yeah. It's kind of hard to find because he hasn't done it very much. He's been very reclusive about all of this. And you've seen some of the photos maybe of him sitting at the far end of the table from the rest of the Russian leadership because he apparently is kind of paranoid about some of this, maybe with good reason. But a clip that surfaced right before last weekend was really, really interesting. And we won't play it for you because it's obviously Russian, so you wouldn't necessarily understand it. But I did want to read you a little bit of what it said, because this is really reminiscent of some of the stuff that you would hear here in the U.S. from politicians. And talking about, this was actually at a big Russian celebration. They had it in Luzhniki Stadium. I think it's pronounced Luzhniki. If you, I apologize if I'm not pronouncing that correctly. It's where they held the World Cup, and this was to celebrate the 8th anniversary of Russia's annexation of Crimea. And President Vladimir Putin actually addressed the ongoing invasion of Ukraine there, and you get a chance to sort of hear how he's pitching this to the Russian people. He says actually that this war is a testament to, this is a quote, to Russia's Christian values. He used scripture to sort of support and defend the invasion here. He said this is, quote, "It is to get people out of their misery, out of this genocide. That is the main reason, the motive and purpose of the military operation." That's what they're referring to this as Russia and as a military operation, not an invasion that we began in Ukraine. And this is where the words from the scriptures come to my mind. There is no greater love than if someone gives his soul for his friends. That's, of course, a paraphrase of John 15:13. So it's super interesting, not just to see see how this pitch works, but to sort of compare it to the ways that often here in the U.S., you hear the Bible and Christian values thrown around by our own politicians. And in this case, and sometimes obviously in American cases as well, it's to support something that is very indefensible and obviously not very, doesn't really have a lot of Christian values to it.
The thing that shocked me when I saw this and we reported about it is my perception of communist Russia was similar to communist China. Not that necessarily Christianity is illegal, but it's a state-controlled religious experience, and there's hard boundaries on it because as a communist society, we're a secular society. So I couldn't believe when Putin said he was justifying the war because it extolled Russia's Christian values and then used scripture to justify it to I thought, again, secular government, communism. I was jaw dropped. And Tyler and I were wondering if, like we saw the former administration pull some autocratic cues from Russia's playbook, big state military celebrations and, all that kind of stuff. I'm wondering if Russia's pulling a card from the right-wing playbook where we're going to justify political motives with scriptures. And I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe it.
One thing about it, if you want to get a mass amount of people to go along with oppressing and killing somebody, just convince them that it's a message from God. If you do that, that's a fact. and that's
back to
not,
Crusades,
that's not, Crusades, historically, if you want to get people to do some of the most evil things and to blot out their whole conscience, just convince them that they're hearing from God. If you do that, there's nothing that will stop. There's no thing in their conscience that's saying maybe we shouldn't do that, right? Because now you've warped it and twisted it a little bit. So this is an age-old playbook.
But I don't even know if the communists, I don't even know if the Kremlin would consider themselves communist. Like, I think they're kind of, somewhere on the spectrum between communism and fascism, where they're certainly authoritarian,
Authoritarian, yeah.
Yeah. And, but there has been Putin for a long time has tried to position the work of the Kremlin as in line with, quote unquote Christian values. Like, he sees himself as a unifier of the Eastern Orthodox Church. A lot of his because prior to the invasion of Ukraine, he faced a lot of human rights criticism for restrictions on the LGBTQ community within Russia, under the guise that he was, enforcing traditional Christian morality. But I think his manipulation of these kind of Christian values, point to his willingness to Derek, your point, to manipulate people spiritually to try to, accomplish, these sort of, political aspirations. But there is a weird spiritual element to at least his stated motivations for invading Ukraine. He has stated that he's trying to unify the Christian church. And, obviously, you can't bomb maternity wards and have unrestricted slaughter of civilians and call it Christian. But that's the level of manipulation he's willing to inflict to try to justify what he's doing there.
Crazy. Emily, what's your thoughts? I'd love to hear what you got to say.
I was gonna say, I do believe that the Russian Orthodox Church has like a bigger role than we realize. Part of that is because our view of Russia, like the news that we see, is slightly skewed. We really don't have like a full idea of what goes on in Russia because of the way that they have controlled their image and stuff. But from what I've seen, it does have there are a lot of times where Russian Orthodox leaders do speak up and they are in the news and they do kind of push, I don't want to say an agenda, but they do have a very important role that I think we don't think about as often. So hearing this, it is shocking because we don't think of him as religious. But to your point, Derek, countries throughout history have always used scripture to justify their actions. Yeah. Even you said America itself, slavery was quote unquote justified through scripture. And we can look at that now and say that was wrong and that was a misuse of scripture. But in the time, no one was saying that. And so they're not calling out. And I think in Russia, I don't know if there's people in the country saying, hey, that's actually not what that scripture means. That is not how that scripture is supposed to be justified. But
I don't think they can.
Yeah. It's shocking to hear, but it's not surprising.
Well, and the other thing, too, is a lot of people who grew up in kind of the American evangelical context were taught that using the Lord's name in vain is, seeing something crazy happen on the street and going, oh, my God, or you know what I mean? But in reality, using the Lord's name in vain is using him or his scripture for your own, vanity or destructive purposes. So, and we see this all the time where someone will justify what they're doing because they're doing it in the name of God or the name of God's word. When someone manipulates scripture or manipulates their affiliation with God for their own personal gain, that's using the Lord's name in vain. That's why it's detestable, and it's one of the top commandments not to do, to say, I'm doing what I'm doing, but I'm holding up a Bible, so it's cool. Or I said a Bible verse, so you can't disagree with me. Or God told me to do this. God told me to run for office. God told me. That's using his name in vain. And that's where you get into a serious violation of God's commands,
It's really scary because I used to sit back and wonder, how could Christians allow slavery? How could Christians allow the atrocities during the civil rights movement? how could Christians allow the Crusades? Our desire, because for a lot of us, we are uninformed with the scriptures, and then our desire to be right, and then our desire to not be ostracized can sometimes allow us to have this mob mentality where we're just running in a direction, not really thinking, is this really the will of God? You know what I mean? And it's really, really scary, because I think at the core of it, you have these great leaders that are great orators that are able to speak, and all of it sounds great in the moment until we sit back and think about it. I think that's why, you know, when you read the Bible, the Bereans were held high because they heard what the word was, and they said, well, let me research it for myself to make sure that this is actually what God is saying. I think that we need to definitely take on more of a Berean approach, especially when we hear things on the political spectrum about what God's will is and is not. You know,
it's basically like an authoritarian version of some kid in Christian college, you know, spiritually manipulating a classmate, saying, God told me I was going to marry you and we should date. You know, God told me that. It's like, did he? God did. Be careful now.
Why
but
he ain't tell me?
Yeah, exactly. But it's the same. It's the same type of spiritual manipulation on obviously a much larger, more nefarious scale. But that's using the Lord's name in vain. Be careful if you're saying God told you to do something, because you're invoking His name for your own agenda, and you're wading into some dangerous territory here. You know,
and God was so serious about that in the law, if a prophet were to give a word and say, God said to do this, and that word didn't come to pass, Jesse, what happened? I know you know.
That was the capital punishment. I mean, that was a capital offense. Yeah.
That's a capital offense for you to say, God told me that this was going to happen. And if it did not happen, then you were to be taken to the middle of the town and be stoned. That's how serious He took His name. I mean, the Israelites took the Lord's name so serious that they wouldn't even write it.
Yeah.
And we just throw Jesus around on everything. We throw Jesus and we throw Yahweh around everywhere. You know what I'm saying? And I think we got to get back to a level of being like the Bereans and actually, you know, holding each other accountable for how we steward the name of the Lord, because we got the American church and the church, some of these rich churches at large got Christianity looking rough.
Yeah.
And I think this is why God says, don't take my name in vain.
Yeah,
because you're going to have me out here looking stupid.
Yeah, this is all y'all.
Why, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like I said, it's the same form of spiritual manipulation we've all experienced or at least witnessed. But just like I said, now it's being weaponized by an authoritarian regime. And you're like, okay, this is a big, big deal. And maybe we should all be very cautious. Anyone says God said or God told me, you know.
All right. What else you got, Tyler?
All right. And a very different note and not nearly as important. Is anybody in here still watching the Oscars? Are you guys like ready for the Oscars? Is this like on your radar as Oscars are this weekend?
I'm ready for the memes about the Oscars.
Yeah, like the social media discourse.
For sure.
Yeah,
fun,
that's
right?
my favorite part.
I more like the idea. Yeah, the idea of the Oscars is more fun than the Oscars at this point, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah. See, you guys are highlighting the problem that the Oscars are facing right now, which is, as you may be aware of this, viewership has been falling off a cliff for the Oscars for a long time now. And every year they're like, we're going to shake things up and we're going to bring the kids back to the Oscars. And this year has the most how do you do fellow kids energy of any Oscars broadcast, really any ostensibly serious broadcast in recent memory. And in order to report about this on Relevant, I brought back our long dormant column Kids Corner, which you can go read if you want to. We won't be, I won't read it verbatim here, but I do love when we get a chance to do Relevant Kids Corner. But I'm just going to read you a few of the changes that the Oscars are making. Well, first off, let's talk about some of the presenters that people will be bringing to some of the people who will be handing out trophies at Hollywood's biggest night. We have people like noted film critic DJ Khaled, Tony Hawk, Shaun White, Kelly Slater, Travis Barker, the drummer for Blink-182. This is like what a 90 million-year-old person's idea of
Kourtney Kardashian's boyfriend.
Of what kids would be like. We'll get a skateboarder in a.
Did they consult any kids?
And it's not actually it's skateboarders and rock stars in their 50s who were young in the 90s. I mean, it's not
like Nigel Houston or yeah.
It's the only skateboarder anybody over 60 has ever heard of. Like that kind of skateboarder. You know?
Oh my gosh. But that's not the worst of it. Now they're doing like Teen Choice Awards categories.
That's just yeah. Well, so we also need to talk about what they've cut out of the Oscars award, because they've cut out a ton of the broadcast. 8 of the awards that they usually present are no longer going to be presented at the broadcast. So best original score, film editing, production design, makeup, hairstyling, documentaries.
You said best original score is cut?
Cut. So these are like what makes a movie. Like the score is what, like, people talk about scores and you're not going to be able to see that happening live. That is going to be
nobody cares,
taped ahead of time, and then they'll like splice it in throughout the broadcast, like a little montage of what you missed.
Cameron.
I say good. I don't care about editing. Just give me the movie stars.
Editing is the most important part of a movie. Editing is the number.
We don't know editors. We want directors and actors. Sure. So that's all we need. We don't need all the behind the scenes.
Is Tom Holland presenting at all? Is he doing anything? Is Tom Holland doing anything?
I don't know, because they've had some weird stuff with invites.
Yeah, they have had some invite issues, because, like, for example, Rachel Ziegler, who is the lead of West Side Story, was not invited to the Academy Award, but DJ Khaled is going to be there. So it's interesting
and it was nominated for Best Picture too.
And it was nominated for Best Picture. I don't think DJ Khaled was in any Best Picture nominated movies this year or any other.
He wrote the score for The Eyes of Tammy Faye.
Look, shout out to DJ Khaled. I'm gonna tell you why. Because DJ Khaled is running it up. This man has been at the NBA All-Star game. He's been getting a check 6 years in a row. He does Hey, shout out to Khaled. Look, I need some Khaled hustle in me, because Khaled be in places. You're true. Like, what is he doing at this golf tournament? Like,
when I was in high school, he was the local DJ here in Orlando, and he would do the Friday night mix thing, where they have the DJ mix for 2-3 hours on Friday nights, Saturday nights. That was DJ Khaled here in Orlando. He's the soundtrack of my youth. And then I go off to college. He went to Miami, and then he became DJ Khaled.
Okay. Can anyone name a DJ Khaled song from the last 5 years?
Are you kidding me? He's had so many number ones.
He's had so many hits.
Name one.
He's got the Bieber one. He's got.
That's not the name.
Is that the name? I don't think that's the name of the song.
I don't know. I mean, I can see the video in my head. I don't know song names.
All I do is win.
Dang. That's not 5 years.
That's older.
All I do is win is like 20.
Yeah, that's older.
Last 5 years, I could not do one for the last 5 years. No.
I know he's putting out music, and I do like him. I can't name a single one of his songs, though.
He just did one with Mary J. Blige. That was promoted real big at the NBA All-Star game.
What's the name?
Who knows? I can't tell you the name of any song that I listen to that I like. I don't know.
That's a problem.
Emily's exposing some truths here.
Let's not act like the Oscars have not always been decidedly mid-brow when it comes to host and entertainment.
No argument.
I mean, there was like a 10-year stretch where they would just alternate between Whoopi Goldberg and Billy Crystal as hosts. Now, I have no shade against either Whoopi Goldberg or Billy Crystal, but was anyone ever excited when they're like, "Did you hear Billy Crystal's hosting again?" You know what I mean? Like, it's straight down the middle.
Well, Jesse, what they're doing to the Oscars is what MTV did to baseball with Rock and Jock. They're trying to like jazz it up for the next generation and like throw out what the Oscars was. I don't know. I kind of like that they all get fancy.
It does feel a little XFL.
It feels right. It feels like trying too hard. It feels like a church trying to be down with the young people. So they're going to do this edgy, strength performance group or something. Just come on.
But to their credit, last year they went the other direction and they tried to make it as classy and classic Hollywood. That Steven Soderbergh directed. They made it really
remote.
like
Nobody cared.
But they tried to make it a very like highfalutin, high profile of like high class affair. And everyone's like, well, this is just boring. I'd rather them go a little more MTV than basically me watching a homework assignment for 2 hours.
They overshot.
Yeah,
I think
they overshot. Right.
I'm just saying, if Tom Holland is not anywhere, he is the biggest. Like Tom Holland is like the Tom Cruise of this generation. Like he's a star. So I'm like, start there. Start with the Marvel films, the comic book films, the films that everybody loves to hate on at the Oscars. That's the issue. They're like, man, how can we attract the kids without like big upping the things that they love? And it's like, no, you gotta show some love to the stuff these kids are in. They're into Uncharted, they're into Spider-Man, they're into all this other stuff. Man, show some love. Like, you know what I mean? But nah, they don't want to do that. Let's just go get Tony Hawk and have him pull up.
So you're getting to Derek, you're getting to where this is a good transition. This is true because they are introducing 2 new categories that this has not been done before. And these 2 new categories are called
Best Kiss.
They're called these are both hashtags on the Oscar website. They're both hashtags, Oscar fan favorite and Oscar cheer moment, in which fans, movie watchers, can nominate their own favorite, their cheer moment, which was their bit, like when all 3 Spider-Men are out there together. I don't know, whatever. I don't even know what you would nominate, but a moment where you cheered in the theater. And then you will also nominate your fan favorite. So, No Way Home doesn't get nominated for Best Picture, but maybe it can take home the How Do You Do Fellow Kids Award of the year, which I don't even know if it's going to be an Oscar trophy or if it's just bragging rights or if it's a hot dog.
Derek literally just walked away. He's so upset.
but real talk, you don't think that producers, their first call was like Tom Holland and Zendaya? Like,
I'm sure.
Like, hey, maybe we could get them. But how far down the list are they possibly when they're calling Wanda Sykes and Amy Schumer? No shade on either of them, but this is Oscars. Yeah.
Spider-Man's going to get a hashtag Oscar cheer moment Oscar. I mean, like, how embarrassing is that?
Where you hang that trophy up at? Where you going to hang the hashtag, hashtag
Oscar cheer
LOL
moment
trophy? Where you going to hang that at? Nobody want no Zanies award.
Nobody. Right. Nobody wants this. Nobody's asking for this. We have the People's Choice Awards. We have the MTV VMAs. We do not need this.
That's the Affirmative Action Award. That's look, we know y'all dope. We know y'all good. We know that you're outselling all of our movies, but we're not going to show no love. So here, we just going to give you this Affirmative Action trophy right here. I'm out of here,
So what's
bro.
funny is I've seen some stuff about this because I've seen people on Twitter that are like, what if we got a movie that was actually not that great to win this award, just to kind of like show that it's a joke? So Amazon came out with a really terrible version of Cinderella last year. It was so bad. I'm assuming y'all didn't watch it. I unfortunately did. It was terrible. But it was like leading the polls for...
I didn't even know it existed. I ain't gonna even lie.
It was so bad. But it was like leading the polls because I was looking to see like what... Because I think they had something where you could see kind of what was in the lead. And that was in the lead. And people were tweeting like, yes, this movie is bad, but it's so funny if we can say it won an Oscar.
Second. So the internet is going to Bodie McBoatface the Oscars.
Yeah.
Let's do it. I'm putting a tweet out.
I'm down.
Let's do it.
So pick the worst movie you saw last year and just become its #1 fan on Twitter.
But real talk with the Oscars too. I mean, it's not like they are okay. Let's say from like 2 years ago or whatever. It's like, how many of you guys have even seen Nomadland once? Much less. It's like, it's Friday night. Let's fire up Nomadland again. That slow burn about people working at Amazon factories. But how many people watch Endgame? Yet one gets not only nominated but wins an award, but is kind of forgotten reasonably quickly. It's a fine movie, but it's never been about what films actually are the most culturally impactful impactful or the one that most people like. So like kind of casting those films off to the side for some joke Twitter poll, it's like, why even bother? It's just making light of how out of touch they are, you know?
Yep. All right. What's next?
Last thing we can do this really fast is I did want to call. I really enjoyed this a new single we got from our friends Johnny Swim, which they did with a rapper that we're very excited about, Tobe and Wigway. That's the latest single off of their upcoming self-titled album.
I gotta ask you. Well, hold on, Tyler. You say Johnny Swim. You don't say Johnny Swim. I hit the accent on the swim. You hit the Johnny real hard.
Did I put the accent on the wrong spot? Johnny Swim.
Well, I don't know. I always just say Johnny. I just say Johnny Swim.
All we know is Johnny is swimming. That's what we know. Johnny swimming.
Johnny Swim.
Yeah. Johnny Swim.
It's like Adult Swim. It's like, all right now it's Johnny Swim. Only Johnnies can get in the public pool. Yeah, it's Johnny Swim.
I think I said. I just threw off the. I think my non-regional dialect just kind of left me for a second, but it's back. Johnny Swim. Johnny Swim. Now I'm in my head about it. Johnny Swim. And Tobe did a song. This is called Desmond's Song, and it is inspired for the Desmond heads out there. This was inspired by Lost. He wrote it while he was watching the show. Abner wrote it with Amanda while they were watching the show. Could never quite make it work. Couldn't quite get it together. Finally, kind of cracked the code during quarantine and put this on the new album. And Tobe said he wanted to drop a verse on it, which he did. And he also directed a music video, which you can watch over at relevantmagazine.com. Here is a clip of the song.
I know my name's being called. Alarm hasn't stopped going off. Yeah, I know there's things still to do. But when I wake up, I won't see you.
Look, hands over my eyes, you cannot see me. I cannot see you. We play peekaboo. Far too often for me to not peek at you. Hell, you put this shock in me like Pikachu. And I'm buzzing for your loving. If it wasn't for the beat of my heart.
So that is that is off of the upcoming album Johnny Swim. It's self-titled. I would guess if I was a betting man that you might be hearing a little more from some of the people involved in that album here in the coming weeks as we get closer to the release date. But always excited to hear more from Johnny Swim.
Very cool. All right. Well, for more, check out what we're covering every day over at relevantmagazine.com. Follow us on all the socials and make sure that our site is part of your daily web browsing. Thanks, Tyler.
Thanks, everybody.
That'll do it for Relevant Buzz. Stay tuned. Up next, Adam McKay joins us. You're listening to Cathedral Bells. The song is Fall Into Place. See, I thought the Cathedral Bells were more regal sounding, chimey.
Today's podcast is brought to you in part by John Mark Comer's book, Garden City, a book that speaks to the tension we all feel between work, rest, and purpose. The New York Times bestselling author John Mark Comer takes us to the scriptures to identify what it really means to be human and flips the script on the idea that who you are matters, not what you do. He shows that God created us for meaningful work and meaningful rest. Both matter. This book helps you ask and answer the big questions. Does God care where I work? Is there a direction for my life? So you can discern God's heart for your calling, your rhythms, and the way His Spirit wants to shape every part of your life. If you're longing for purpose and a more grounded way to live, check out the new hardcover edition of Garden City wherever books are sold.
Well, today's show is brought to you in part by the new book, God, the Science, the Evidence. We talk a lot about faith, but how often do we talk about science in the same breath? You might be surprised to discover just how deeply the two actually agree. For centuries, science has been used to dismiss the idea of God, but today an intellectual revolution is underway. Modern discoveries in physics, cosmology, and biology are consistently revealing the same truth: creation isn't an accident. That profound reversal is what engineers Michel-Yves Bolloré and Olivier Bonassi investigate in their international bestseller, God, the Science, the Evidence. This book is a rigorous, evidence-based critique of materialism, inviting you to explore over a dozen scientific, philosophical, and historical domains. It shows that what was once seemed impossible, that science could point to a creator, is now supported by a vast and convergent body of evidence. With over 400,000 copies sold in Europe, this book is sparking a global debate. It's thoughtful, fascinating, and a powerful reminder that reason itself affirms the existence of God. Learn more and find out where you can purchase your copy today by visiting godthesciencetheevidence.com.
Today's podcast is brought to you in part by Erwin McManus's book, The Barbarian Way. Some books don't just inspire you, they confront you. The Barbarian Way, now celebrating its 20th anniversary, is one of those books. If you felt the pull of God towards something deeper and wilder than the safe, predictable version of faith that we settle for, McManus reminds us that following Jesus was never meant to be tame. It's meant to awaken courage, passion, and purpose God placed inside us. He draws from the wild stories of Abel, Noah, Moses, Rahab, and others to remind us that following God wasn't meant to be tame. Safe faith isn't working. Step into the story God is writing for you. Choose passion, choose boldness, choose The Barbarian Way. Available now wherever books are sold.
Well, our guest today is Adam McKay. He's an award-winning director and producer behind movies like The Big Short, Vice, Anchorman, Step Brothers, and most recently, Don't Look Up. He was even nominated for 2 Oscars this weekend. Well, Adam sat down with Tyler for an insightful conversation into climate change and why he thinks the future of our world is up to the church. Here's our conversation with filmmaker Adam McKay.
This isn't happening. Kate, tell me this isn't really happening.
I hear there's something you don't like the looks of.
We discovered a very large comet.
Oh, good for you.
It's headed directly towards Earth.
This comet is what we call a planet killer.
At this exact moment, I say we sit tight and assess.
So, Adam, the first thing I want to ask, and we'll get into some of the faith-centric stuff in a minute here, but I want to ask, when you first started scripting this movie, I feel like you kind of have to put sides together. And how do you decide when you're making a movie like this, who's going to be sort of, in the case of this movie, in favor of doing something about the incoming asteroid, and who is not going to be? What kind of person is interested in taking it seriously, and what kind of person is not taking it seriously?
Well, you know what I did? I used the old cheat of let's look at the world right now. So I think it's no secret that the movie is in a lot of ways about the climate crisis. But I think it's, as we've learned, I think it's also about deeper rejections of truths for careerism, for ego, for politics, for poll numbers, for money, for delusion. And so, in doing that, it's not so hard. You just have to look around the world that we live in right now.
I want to get to something that was interesting to me that I did not see coming. And I usually have kind of an antenna up for issues like this, but I did not see Ewell's prayer coming at the very end. And I thought it was very beautiful and very poignant, but it was very surprising because that felt like a left turn from where movies like this tend to usually go with their religious characters. So can you tell me how you decided to do that?
Yeah, that actually came out of a great conversation with one of my co-producers, Ron Suskind, who's a journalist, author. He just, one of the great things about having people like that involved in your movie is they ask you a lot of questions. And Ron just asked me, where's faith in all of this? And it was like in a duh moment where, you sort of forget that, we've seen faith politicized and weaponized and distorted by so many egos and self-interested parties over the last, I was going to say 10 years, but I realized you could almost say 2,000 years.
Yeah.
That we forget that there is this personal relationship with faith that is really beautiful and profound that I've had in my life. And the second he said it to me, it was like the last puzzle piece fit together for the movie. And I knew instantly who Ewell was. And I, within an hour, went into the script, rewrote it, talk to Timothée Chalamet. I know who your character is. I know why you're in the movie. And by my reckoning, it's the most beautiful, moment of the movie. It gets me every time I watch it.
Dearest Father and Almighty Creator, we ask for your grace tonight, despite our pride, your forgiveness, despite our doubt. Most of all, Lord, we ask for your love to soothe us through these dark times. May we face whatever is to come.
I am religious and I am very concerned about climate change. And it has been very frustrating for me that so many people in my own faith tradition have often seemed to be one of, if not the biggest, obstacles in actually addressing this. And that's just kind of my self-perception, maybe in some cases. So I found it really beautiful and I would say encouraging in a way that I wasn't really expecting. Because on the whole, I don't know that I would call this an encouraging movie, or it didn't leave me, I don't know if I would say, in an encouraged place about the state of the next, 50, 100 years or so.
Yeah, I would say this, that here's the part that for me is encouraging, is that we're able to make a movie like this, that we as an animal are able to tell a story of how a lot of us may die before it happens. And I would say this to anyone who has faith, which I have faith, and I would say that's a gift from the higher power. Mm-hmm. The idea that we're able to imagine things in the future, that we were given this gift of thought and understanding. And, the big thing I talk to with a lot of these actors, and I certainly talked about it with Chalamet, is that scientists are sometimes treated by certain people of faith as, outside of the sphere of understanding God's world. And I think the important thing to remember about scientists, every scientist I've ever met, I've met a lot through doing this work.
Sure.
They're very humble. They're very quiet. They listen, they watch, and what they're listening to and what they're looking at is, if you want to say it this way, God's creation.
Your breathing is stressing me out. This will affect the entire planet. I know, but it's so stressful.
If your house is on fire, your house is on fire. And pretending everything's cool and you can still hang out in your den because that room isn't on fire is delusional. And I would go back to a faith-based approach here. We were gifted with fear and urgency for a reason. Here's the really good news. We have science. Science is amazing. Science is Excalibur. Science is the ultimate gift from the higher power, because it can do incredible things, because these, in my opinion, these are really our holy people. These are really the people that are paying attention and listening to the creation of the universe. And we have it. We can do it. We have renewable energy. We have some initial promising technology about carbon removal. There are a lot of really powerful tools at our disposal. The problem right now is no one is using them. Our leaders have been blinded by their own sense of power. Our economy is corrupted. And you know what's crazy about it? You look at the religious texts throughout history, they all have this story, whether it's Jesus, casting the money lenders out of the temple, whether it's, whichever religion you subscribe to. This is an old story, so we know exactly what to do. And I really am a believer that people of faith are going to be the bedrock of this movement.
There's a comet headed directly towards Earth.
Do you know how many the world is ending meetings we've had over the last 2 years?
Drought, famine, hole in the ozone is so boring.
That was Adam McKay. You can read more of that conversation in the spring issue of Relevant. You can view it for free at relevantmagazine.com, and you can also get the enhanced experience by becoming a member or subscriber to Relevant Plus. All right, stay tuned. Up next, it's our Epic Battle Academy Awards edition. You're listening to Yacht Club. The song is You Don't Know Me. Okay, it's time for Epic Battle. It's Oscar weekend, so we thought we would do an Oscar-themed version of Epic Battle. If you haven't heard this game before, it's 2 teams. It's a debate-style competition where we are going to settle once and for all these little Spider-Man's better than Batman internet nerd arguments. We are going to just take them by the horn, settle them, and that's what Epic Battle is. We're doing an Oscar-themed edition, so we're going to get it right where the Oscars did not. We're going to fill in the gaps. So the teams are, Tyler is joining us once again. He's still on. Hey, Tyler. It's going to be Tyler and Derek versus Jesse and Emily. Tyler and Derek, I need your team name.
Kids' Choice Awards.
Okay, it's the Kids' Choice Awards versus Jesse and Emily.
I was going to say our team name is a little cumbersome, but it's Billy Crystal, Whoopi Goldberg Energy. Old school Oscars, baby.
Is that the full title? Because I only agree if it's the full title.
Yes.
Okay, Billy Crystal, Whoopi Goldberg Energy versus the Kids' Choice Awards. Okay, got it. Here we go. The first category is going to be most convincing on-screen flirting. That is the category. Most convincing on-screen flirting. Billy Crystal, Whoopi Goldberg Energy. You guys have DJ Khaled. And Kids' Choice Awards, you guys have Jason Momoa 3 weeks into giving up working out for Lent. So it's not peak Jason Momoa. He's 3 weeks into Lent, giving up working out. So that's Kids' Choice Awards. All right, Billy Crystal, Whoopi Goldberg Energy. Please tell Clark, who will be the judge, why you feel that they would that DJ Khaled would be better at most convincing on-screen flirting.
I mean, Emily, maybe you can back me up on this, but I've never seen a DJ Khaled not in deep flirtation mode, even when it's a selfie. One time I watched about a 10-minute epic.
It's very uncomfortable.
It is. Even if he's talking to himself, I believe he's flirting with himself. I one time watched a whole 10-minute montage of him getting lost on a jet ski at night in the canals of Miami. And he was fearing for his life, okay? Yeah. And begging someone to call the Coast Guard. And I still felt like he was kind of flirting with me through Snapchat. So I think this one is they're kind of a sandbag because I don't think DJ Khaled's capable of not flirting.
All right. Kids' Choice Awards, tell us why Jason Momoa, 3 weeks into giving up working out for Lent, would be better at the most convincing on-screen flirting.
Okay.
Have you seen Jason Momoa? Have you
he can flirt though?
Have you actually laid eyes on him? Like, Jason Momoa could not work out. He could not work out for 3 years and would just look like a normal Tennessean. Like it's like he's the guy is like a freaking, like he literally is like a god, Aquaman. Like, so all I'm saying is all he gotta do is just flirt. He could lift his shirt up. That's a flirt. If Jason Momoa just take his shirt off, even after 3 weeks of not working out, and his six packs just aren't as defined. Look, to me, all I'm saying is, I'm just Jason Momoa, DJ Khaled. I mean, I love Khaled. He makes some hot records. But just Jason Momoa just take his shirt off, and then that's a flirt. All the girls gonna go crazy. That's just my
Billy
opinion.
Crystal, Whoopi Goldberg Energy. What's your rebuttal?
Emily, take this home.
Yeah. Derek does bring up a good point. Jason Momoa, very attractive, whether he's worked out or not. I will agree with that. But in order to flirt well, you do have to have like confidence and personality. And after 3 weeks of not working out, he might be not in the greatest mental headspace. And a man who puts out a song called All I Do Is Win, That's confidence. So he will win flirting, whatever that looks like, every single time. Whereas Jason, you know, he might not be in a great, like, if you're not in a good headspace, looks can only take you so far. But confidence is key.
I mean, the fact, hey, big respect for DJ Khaled's Instagram because he's shirtless a lot. And I'm just like, nobody really wants to see that. But like the confidence that he has, like he pulls it off.
All he needs to do to flirt is yell his name. And if that doesn't work, just yell, "We the best music," and done. Flirtation over. He only has 2 lines and they work every time.
All right. Hang on.
All right, Kids' Choice Award. What's your final?
We just got done talking about God and lying. I'm sorry, Tyler.
It's two things really quick. First of all, I was in Joshua Tree and I saw Jason Momoa. He walked. I was at a restaurant. Jason Momoa walked in with Lisa Bonet. Lisa Bonet, she doesn't just follow guys or like any random guys around. He was with Lisa Bonet, and I was like, I want to run away with you, Jason. Where are we going? Throw me on the back of the motorcycle. Let's go. And more importantly, more to the point, I think that DJ Khaled, I got respect for Khaled, but every time I've seen him do something that isn't DJing, I'm sorry, it hasn't been like when I've seen him try to dribble a basketball. I've seen him try to play a guitar. It's not exactly. I feel like he's a really one lane man, and this does not see. This seems a little outside of the lane, so that's why I'm going with Jason.
Final point: girls like funny guys. I just want that to be said. So just keep that in mind.
Jason's funny.
There you go.
All right. Most convincing on-screen flirting: Jason Momoa 3 weeks into giving up working out for Lent, or DJ Khaled. Clark, who got you?
I do think that maybe in this case, DJ Khaled might have a little bit more of the charisma.
Wow. That's right. Is that your answer?
Yes, it is.
This is ridiculous.
Okay, Billy Crystal, Whoopi Goldberg energy, get the point. Ridiculous. All right, here we go. Okay, next category. Blocking the choreography for the next West Side Story remake. Okay, Billy Crystal, Whoopi Goldberg energy. You have all 3 Spider-Men. And Kids' Choice Awards, you have the Encanto family. Blocking the choreography for the next West Side Story remake.
You said blocking? What you mean blocking?
Teaching the choreography, making up the choreography. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Got you. Okay.
All right. For the Kids' Choice Awards, all right, you're up first. Kids' Choice Awards. Tell us why the Encanto family would be better.
This is easy. Encanto is a musical, and obviously the Spider-Man guys, they've got a lot of they're pretty good at like swinging around the city. But if you need to hammer a nail, you call in a hammer. You don't call in Spider-Man. And in this case, the musical is the nail, and the Encanto family, in addition to their various kind of like super talents, they've done this already. We've seen them in action. They're nominated for Best Animated Feature because they're in a musical, and they've blocked themselves perfectly well. It's a very impressive feat. So I'm going to have to say that it feels a little unfair even for this matchup because Encanto's got this one in the bag.
Wow. Billy Crystal, Whoopi Goldberg energy. Tell us why all 3 Spider-Men would be better at blocking the choreography for the next West Side Story remake.
Yes, Tyler, you could not be more wrong, because if there is anybody that could do it, it is specifically Tom Holland, because I know for a fact he has a background in dance. And if you've ever seen his lip sync battle where he did the Rihanna dance a little too well, he has the moves and he has choreography down. So I can't speak much for the other 2, but if Tom Holland's leading it, they're doing fantastic. And honestly, Andrew is like a great actor. I'm sure you could pick it up. Toby, we'll see. But Tom will lead the way, and I have full confidence in him.
Okay, Kids' Choice Awards, tell what's your rebuttal?
So, Emily, you gonna sit up here with a straight face, and you gonna tell me that Tom Holland and 2 accountants are gonna outdance the whole Encanto family? All that Caribbean beautiful dancing culture, you sit there telling Colombian. Me that these 3 white dudes finna do that. What if that's what y'all telling me, then I got some oceanfront property in South Dakota that I would love to sell y'all, because I don't even think that they even seen bongos and drums. Hispanics, that's what black folks and Hispanics do. We get up here and we get the party popping. Have you ever been to a Cinco de Mayo? I mean, I know that's Mexico. You know what I'm saying? But I'm saying, like, have you ever been around a Hispanic family at like just playing dominoes at a party? We kicks it. That's what, you know what I'm saying? I'm not Hispanic, but I feel like I am, you know what I'm saying, today. So I'm just speaking out for all my peoples at the Econo cast, telling you we not gonna get outdanced by no doggone Tom Holland and accountant and somebody that worked for TD Ameritrade. So there we go.
Billy Crystal, Whoopi Goldberg Energy. What's your final point?
Fair point, Derek. But there's no way Spider-Man are going to beat them at their own game. But last time I checked, West Side Story and Encanto are musicals. Musicals are terrible and boring. It's just a fact. So if you put Spider-Man in there, they're going to decide, we're not going to dance better than all these people. We're not going to sing better. We're just going to make West Side Story into a Spider-Man movie. Maybe you're watching West Side Story and they're singing and dancing going on. You're like, what the heck? I walked into a musical. I thought this was like some sort of like really interesting urban story. All of a sudden, Green Goblin shows up. Now it's a Spider-Man movie and everybody's happy. You got your little song at the beginning. We're no way, to your point, there's no way they're beating the Encanto family at their own game. They're just going to turn it into a Spider-Man movie. And who doesn't like a Spider-Man movie? That's
Listen,
all
I'm just saying, Columbia is popping. That's all I'm saying. And I'm saying we ain't getting beat by no doggone accountants. There you go.
Clark, who convinced you?
Because people need to learn blocking in this situation, it's going to go into Encanto, I think.
Yeah. That's right. That's right.
His choice words, tie game. All right, it's tie right now, 1-1.
Stuck the land.
All right. Last category is doing the stunts for the next Mad Max movie. Who would win in doing the stunts for the next Mad Max movie between Billy Crystal, Whoopi Goldberg Energy? You have Lady Gaga still in character from House of Gucci. And Kids' Choice Awards, you have Jessica Chastain trapped in her Eyes of Tammy Faye makeup. So who between those would do the stunts for the next Mad Max movie better? We'll start with you, Billy Crystal, Whoopi Goldberg Energy.
Emily, I'll kick this one off if you want to take it home.
Sounds good.
I don't know if you guys watch. I don't care what character she's in. Did you see Lady Gaga at the Super Bowl? She jumped off the top of the whole freaking stadium to kick off the show. It doesn't matter. As far as I'm concerned, she's always in that same character. I don't know that I know what the real Lady Gaga's like. I don't care what character she's in. She jumped like a flying squirrel off the top of the Super Bowl. Okay? Okay?
She did.
You don't do that and not have stunt energy. That's one of the greatest things I've ever seen. She was in a sequence, like, onesie thing, and just, it was like, where's Lady Gaga? I thought she was performing. The camera pans up, she's on the top of the stadium, she just jumps off. Okay? If she can handle that, she can handle some Mad Max and driving around a desert.
All right, Kids' Choice Awards, tell us why Jessica Chastain trapped in her Eyes of Tammy Faye makeup would be better at doing the stunts in the next Mad Max movie.
Tyler, go ahead, bro.
Yeah. I can take this one. So Jessica Chastain in Eyes of Tammy Faye, much like the actual Tammy Faye, was caked in multiple layers of makeup that probably added an extra maybe 2 inches to her actual body, giving her an incredible amount of protection. No matter what, she could throw herself from a moving vehicle, dive and roll along the ground, and she wouldn't even feel it. Would protect her from the elements. That would give her, like it gave Tammy Faye herself, an incredible amount of confidence and fearlessness to survive whatever director George Miller might throw at her, because there's no car crash, there's no dive even from the top of the Super Bowl, there is no plummet to the depths of the Australian desert that could penetrate her this makeup and wig and eye mascara shield that she has ensconced herself with. So I think that she would easily be able to handle any of the stunts and get up and get back and do another take and another take after that.
All right. Okay. What's your rebuttal, Billy Crystal, Whoopi Goldberg Energy?
I just feel like it really comes down to physicality, and like, you know, Lady Gaga, she seems real scrappy, and I feel like she could get just thrown around in the desert, especially if she's in her House of Gucci character. That woman was crazy. So like, she will withstand. physical and mental turmoil. Jessica Chastain as Tammy Faye, I think she could handle some mental challenges. I think she would last, I'll give her 15 seconds physically, and she is just crying about it. So I just don't think she's lasted long.
Interesting. All right, final point. Kids' Choice Awards.
Look, all I'm going to say is this. Is there anything in the year of our Lord 2022 more dangerous than being an evangelical? How you gotta twist yourself and contort yourself in all these different ways to try to make certain stuff make sense that don't make no sense. This girl, right now, she as a Christian evangelical, shoot, she gonna do all the Mad Max stunts, backflips, front flips, cartwheels, all that, because that's all evangelicals been doing for the past. Since Donald Trump been in office, that's all evangelicals been doing, is having to do all kind of backflips, front flips, cartwheels, all that stuff. So for me, Jessica Chastain, I mean, she just got to keep doing what they've been having to do for this whole time. So shoot, I'm like, she already, hey, look, they doing stunts right now.
There you go. All right, who convinced you, Clark?
I think Lady Gaga's got this in the bag for the extreme.
Hey, I ain't gonna lie, I pulled all that out. Clark, I ain't even mad, bro. I had to reach to the sky for that one, dog. So
Derek was doing like Matrix bullet time dodges.
I commend you.
All right, so Billy Crystal, Whoopi Goldberg Energy, 2-1, won the Oscars edition of Epic Battle. Well, before we wrap things up, I want to thank Adam McKay for joining us today. Make sure to catch his latest film, Don't Look Up. It's out now on Netflix. I would also recommend Winning Time, the HBO Lakers series, but don't, because it's rated R. So I'm not recommending that. Also, make sure to check out the full feature we have with him in the spring issue of Relevant. It is available now at relevantmagazine.com, the ad-supported web version. If you want an enhanced reading experience with no ads, subscribe to Relevant Plus. You can do so right there. It's as low as $2.50 a month. Also in the issue, you'll find Ryan Reynolds, No Big Deal, Shauna Niequist, Brooke Ligerwood, so many more. It is jam-packed. Channing Tatum. I didn't even have Channing Tatum on this list. We have so much content. Lisa Sharon Harper. It is absolutely packed. Go check it out now. Hey, if you like the music you hear on the podcast, you can find our playlist Heard on the Relevant Podcast on Spotify. It's a good follow. It's updated every week. Why not? It's free. Also, speaking of free, follow Relevant on all the socials. Social media is free. You can get our content there too. We're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, a little bit on TikTok, but definitely follow along for all the latest. And like I said, Relevant Plus, go check it out. You can register for free at the site. It unlocks a bunch more article views. You also get by registering for Relevant Plus, you also get our top 5 trending articles in your inbox every morning, our Relevant Daily newsletter. And again, Relevant Plus, as low as $2.50 a month. It's our best content experience yet, and we appreciate the support. Go check it out. On that note, we'll wrap it up. I'm Cameron Strang.
I'm Jesse Carey.
I'm Derek Miner.
I'm Emily Brown.
I'm Tyler Huckabee.
We'll see you next time. Don't miss it. We're going to be joined by Triply.
Thanks for listening to the Relevant Podcast. Check out our features, interviews, and news updates every day at relevantmagazine.com. And make sure to follow Relevant on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for the latest. For more great podcasts, browse the shows on the Relevant Podcast Network, which you can find at our site. And while you're there, don't miss the all-new era of Relevant Magazine. A new issue releases every other month at relevantmagazine.com.
Musicals are terrible and boring. It's just a fact.
Relevant Podcast Network.